Good morning, everyone. Greetings from Albany, New York. That's where we're going to have a cup of coffee today. Jay, I hope you had a nice week and a nice weekend. As I said, I'm here in Albany, New York, conducting a retreat for the Daughters of Charity. And it's the irony of it is that I'm giving a retreat to nuns who are holier than I am. But it's a gift that I get in being able to be with them for these days. And it's beautiful here. The rain has finally stopped. The colors are, I don't know if you can notice outside the window, some beautiful colors here. My reflections are on the feast today. I got a lot of thoughts about it. It's St. John Capistrano. Fascinating life this guy had. He was born in Italy, as you know, and he became a lawyer. He wasn't enchanted with it, but from what I gather, he was good at it. Next thing you know, he was made governor of Perugia. And while he was the governor, there were civil wars between cities and different areas of the country. And being the governor of Perugia, he was put in jail. He spent 4 years in prison. But for him, it was a good time, because while he was in prison those 4 years, he had a conversion. He studied theology while he was imprisoned, and he had a whole conversion of his soul. And he said when he came out, he was going to give his life to the Lord. And when he came out, he joined the Franciscans. And then shortly after that, after going to school and that, he was ordained a Franciscan. And his love was preaching a love of the Lord in prayer. And that's pretty much what he did as a Franciscan. He formed even a group within the Franciscans of a more prayerful community. They were not the conventional Franciscans. So it was all based on his wanting to be close to the Lord, and he was. And Francis was known as this great preacher who could change people's minds and hearts. And then when he was 70 years old, he was sent to lead a crusade against the Ottoman Empire, who was running over the Belgrade and Hungary and that, and he died shortly after his time of leading that crusade. But he's famous because of the whole story of the swallows who come back to Capistrano every year. The Franciscans built a monastery in California, and they named it St. John Capistrano. And it was based on obviously this love of St. John. And the monastery was built, and so there's a piece, where the swallows, they'd leave every October. It was always around his feast day, the day he died, in October. And they would leave, they would head south like a lot of the birds do. They're smart, they head for the warmer weather. They come back in March. And there's always a story about the swallows coming back to Capistrano. Well, part of the piece that I looked at and researched, this monastery was built around 2 rivers. And the 2 rivers provided a lot of insects, where the cliff swallows, they loved that area because they could get a lot of insects. That was their food. So the reason the swallows were there was because the insects were there. But they did return. And that's the whole issue that people talk about this particular monastery, that the swallows come back. I think it's the oldest standing building still in existence in California, this particular monastery, St. John Capistrano. But I pay tribute to him because his whole idea of getting close to the Lord. And so I can see that, and I remember the gospel today where Jesus just warns us against being greedy. And I think about that a lot. On this, with the Daughters Retreat here in Albany, we were talking about, richness and like all of us and religious, or most of us anyway. I don't have any money. I'm not rich. Not with money, but rich with my whole ministry and always being with people who love the Lord and love Eucharist. I'm rich in friends. I'm rich because my ministry has taken me everywhere around the world. And so I hear the Lord when he says, just don't be greedy. And it's nice to have richness that doesn't bring about greed. And it brings about just wanting more of the beauty of what that richness is. So maybe if I want my mission ministry to get better or to have more friends, people could say, oh, you're kind of greedy. You're getting, well, I hear the Lord to warn me, but it's nice to have that. And St. John Capistrano kind of, he inspires me to develop a close relationship with the Lord. And he had that, and he preached it. So when I do my ministry and when I do retreats like this with the daughters, I want to preach something that's real, a closeness to God. And, as always, we gather together to pray. And I'd like you to say the prayer today for those people that I always ask you to pray for, in a special way to pray for those Vincentians in Perryville, Missouri, especially there in some that are in need of God's healing. And then also remember those special friends of the mission that I ask you to pray for. So, if you will, I'd like you to remember Bill and Brian and Clarence, Stan. I'd like you to remember Karen and Lisa and Loretta and Louise, Nina, Sharon, Pat. Join me in praying for them today. Divine Savior, transform me into yourself. May my hands be your hands. May my tongue be your tongue. Grant that every faculty of my body may serve only to glorify you. Above all, transform my soul and all its powers, that my memory, my will, and my affections may be the memory, the will, and the affections of you. I pray you to destroy in me all that is not of you. Grant that I may live but in you and by you and for you, that I may truly say with St. Paul, I live now, not I, but Christ lives in me. God bless. Thanks for watching. Check us out on Wednesday in our written reflection, and then hope to see you again next Monday. Be safe.